Well, so the one thing I wasn't prepared for, and the one thing I need to do, I got a new, um, I got a new Roadcaster, and I haven't moved my intro music yet. So we're gonna go. I've never heard this before. We're gonna go with this basic bed music that's preloaded. Will be the intro to the show. Okay.
Okay.
So let's see what this is like. I doubt it's got the 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll do the 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nice. Oh, I didn't expect that to kick in. Okay. Well, here we are, episode 394 of Lopez Radio. So close to 400. It's been many, many years. Joining me today is the original guest of the show, Lord Fagan himself. Lord, welcome in, buddy.
Yeah, I'm aged.
Been Lord for many years.
Yeah, right. No, happy belated birthday.
You as well. You as well. Lot to get into today. We're going to talk about your trip to Vegas in just a little bit, and many, many things. Because I went to Vegas pretty recently as well, so we'll have a few things to bat back and forth, I'm sure. Your first trip out there, my third or fourth, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And otherwise, it's going to be just general bullshitting. We need to do a little catch up, man. What's been going on with you? What do you got your eyes on in the world of the internet, technology, anything?
Man, it's man, I'm sure I'm not the only person to have noticed. It's pretty warm this year, this winter. That's the thing here at the here at the undisclosed Midwestern U.S. location. It's this Chinese host get better every year. Sooner or later, they're gonna figure out how to make locusts appear, and they'll be there. And who knows? Maybe they'll show up. It'll be a surprise along with we got cicadas coming up.
Yeah,
man, we're gonna have the overlapping broods. It's gonna be brutal, but
the locust will be AI driven. You know that, right? It'll be open AI locust brand.
They're gonna get it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, you mean we're supposed to eat everything? We were making food. We were making everybody breakfast.
Yeah, they'll be.
We were supposed to eat everything. Sorry.
They'll be explaining something inane to you as they land on your face and be like, "Quantum physics best described in the way of Barbie as blah 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 blah." They're just picking your face apart while you're getting facts from AI.
Work in progress.
It is a work in progress. Similar over here, by the way. It's what, February 10th, as of this recording, and it's a balmy 65 degrees outside. Kind of weird because it was pretty cold just a couple weeks ago. So
it's a little concerning, but it's fuck it.
Yeah.
We were supposed to fix this problem 20 years ago, and we decided no, the hell with that. So we're gonna reap what we sow for the next century. But it'll be a good time. It's not totally bad yet. Inflation is starting to cool down, or at least that's what I'm being told.
Yeah.
All the shit that I really want to be cheaper is no. That's the thing about all the food inflation. I don't think people realize. It's the weather that has a lot to do with why that stuff's so expensive.
Yeah.
And why it's gonna get more expensive. But
I say bring back human sacrifice for better crops.
Something, dude. They need to they need to do something to save fast food.
Yeah.
You heard about this, man. You got the CEO of McDonald's apologizing. Yeah, sorry for those $18 Big Mac meals. Yeah, that's that we didn't program that in the AI. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, me and the wife were just talking about the other day. Like, you honestly cannot get out of a fast food drive-through for less than $20 if you're buying full meals for two people.
Exactly.
You can't it's impossible.
You're lucky to spend less than 10 if it's just you and you're trying hard. You have to use the app now. You don't have a choice, and it's not just what's weird. So with the McDonald's app, inside it'll have the coupon, quote unquote, where it's like, hey, we'll take 30% off your food. And the fine print says, you must pay through the app. Yeah. You can tell that this is twofold. Number one, they're trying to kill a job.
Right.
You want it to be cheaper? Help us murder a job. But then also on top of that, give us your precious data so that we can sell it. It's, it's tough out there,
Well, there's a lot of places doing that too. Like if you shop on the Target app at all, right? We all love Target. Target's a great place. At least we think so. Just another corporation, but seems to have a little bit of belovedness around it. But if you go to Target, you notice that the prices on the shelf and the prices on the app are different. And if you look at the price, it says this much if purchased online. It's kind of weird.
Well, and I see a similar phenomena. So got back to Sam's Club.
Yeah,
hadn't been a member of Sam's Club for a number of years.
Sure.
Got on there and all kinds of fun new options because it's not like just one membership now. It's like, well, they've got their regular vanilla membership, and then they got the plus membership, which is more expensive because of course it is. But they have like extra stuff that they'll add on there, and it's like, oh, you can shop online and we'll deliver it to you, or we can just come pick it up. What was weird is like, you go through and it's like, all right, well, cool, man. Let me see what you got to, maybe that'd be really convenient. I'll just have you get my stuff together and then I'll go pick it up or have you deliver it. I go on there and it's like, you look by section. It's like, well, what are your frozen food stuff like? So we have 30 items. I'm like, what? What? Wait a minute. That's one side of an aisle. I've been to Sam's Club. Y'all are not a small store. 30 items, my ass. And it's true that you've got to go if you want like the full experience. But even that is, just kind of grimy. I don't like going to the store anymore. I never really did. You and I are, veterans of really being used to being able to go at like, no, I want to go at like 11:30.
Yeah.
I want to go just after midnight when there's nobody around. Nowadays, like, it's not just a matter of you feel uncomfortable and anxious waiting for that old lady, will you get the fuck out of the way of the stuff I want to look at so that I can go over there? Now you have the problem of you have professional shoppers who just don't give a shit anymore about what you're doing.
Yep.
They'll get right in front of you. It's like, no, excuse me, I need to get this. It doesn't matter if you were looking at it. It doesn't matter if you were reaching in the middle of reaching for it. Some asshole, some professional shopper who is going to get that, because if they don't, they're going to substitute it or they're going to miss it, and they're going to get in trouble. Somebody's going to really take it personally and take it all out on them.
Well,
through the app by not tipping.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and think about this. So we do grocery pickup, right? As well. We pick our groceries up most of the time. Like we'll still go in for little stuff here and there, but our big grocery trips are now just pulling up to a parking space and they bring it out to us. And I got to imagine, because I was thinking the same thing, but I got to imagine, how you were just mentioned how annoying it is to navigate around people and shop in person. When that's your job, that's got to be tenfold, because you're just constantly out there either you're shopping for 8 hours or your shift, right? So I assume after a while, they just see the other shoppers as just not even there. They're numb to it. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, well, I got to grab this thing, and this person's just going to sit here and look. Because I'm sure at the beginning, when you're brand new, you're fresh, you're like, oh, I'm going to be courteous and let these people finish browsing, and then I'll pick up the thing I'm supposed to pick up for this other customer. No, I think after a while, you just become like this. I'm going to push through these orders so I can go sit the fuck down.
Yeah, similar to when you're out on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
They got those semi-tractor trailers that are out there with you. I mean, the thing is, you just may be out in the world. You may be on your way to that better mall on the other side of town or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy in the big rig, that's his fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
He's in his office, and you're on his happy fucking highway, man.
Yeah.
And really, there's a palpable acrimony, but it's also kind of weird in that it's regressive. Like you were talking about the whole thing of, no, I'm going to go over to the store and just pick up the stuff that I ordered. That's got a kind of old-timey, old west feel to it, I'm gonna show up to the general store. And the thing is, you don't shop at the general store. You tell the dude what you want, and he goes in and he gets it and prepares all your stuff for you. Here you go. This is how much your stuff is.
You're talking about fucking
that changed all that shit.
Yeah, you're talking about fucking provisions.
Right.
Fucking provisions. We're going to pick up our provisions from the provisional store. Everything's about 2.5 weeks out. Geographical oddity.
Right.
But yeah, dude, it's it's kind of nuts, and you know, I don't know. I still like going out. Like this is like kind of the last year and a half or so has been like the first time I've liked going out and actually walking in a store. But I do strategically pick my points. Like if I've got to go, I've got to go, right? But like you brought up Sam's Club, we're Costco people because we just got a Costco not too long ago, about a year ago, and same thing. You try to shop online, and most of the stuff that you know is there, you know it's there, but it's not on the website. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not there for you to purchase and have delivered or picked up. And you're like, well, then what's the point of this? Like, why are we here? Like, I've always tried. I'm like, well, maybe I can set up a pickup for that, or maybe I can just have it delivered to the house because you know it's a couple of big items and we don't need them right away. No, the exact thing you need is never on there. It's always like this weird exclusive online stuff that they're trying to unload. And I do the same thing though. I will go in there. The sweet spot. I don't know if Sam's is the same way. The sweet spot for Costco, last 45 minutes they're open of the night. Go in there. They close at like 8:30. So just step in at like 7:45. Dude, you got all the space to yourself. You may miss out on a couple of samples, but man, you don't have to worry about like running into folks. It's great.
Well, and that the website and the app and stuff like that, it would be one thing if it were just consistently bad or consistently good, but no, it's got like instances where it's really awful and then other times where it's like shockingly useful. Like again, you know, one of the things that's kind of awesome about these particular stores, be it Sam's Club or Costco, any big time, you know, big box store we have a membership and stuff, is they do have this sort of kitchenette like food court area that has like deals that don't make sense in this day and age.
Yeah.
The whole, oh yeah, here's a big ass hot dog in a large soda for $1.50, and it's like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
And it's just because like, well, because you're a member, you know, I mean, because you can't get in there to use this stuff if you're not a member of it. But you can, again, if you find yourself in a situation, because these are very popular little spots to go and just, you know, grab a cheap and easy meal. So sometimes the line can be a bit long, but then it's like you game it to where it's like, but if I use the app, I can go, quote unquote, pick up my food. And that's like a whole other line, which is totally empty because people don't think to do that. And so you'll go to the store and you'll be in the store. And while the people are waiting in line, you just use your little phone, go boop, beep, boop, boop, and you like order your food and then you just go get it. And cut through like 10 people in line.
Yeah. It's great. The Costco has that situation, but I don't know if it's just because it's a newer Costco or if they do it at all of them, but they've just got kiosks set up. You do the kiosk thing. You don't talk to a person. They just call your number when it's ready. So you just go sit down. You just wait for them to call your number. You walk up, get your food, sit there. It's like a haven, you know, being in a college town. It is. You walk in there and you're like, oh, you guys are on the parents membership, and there's just tons of college kids while school's in session, just sitting around eating cheap pizza, cheap hot dogs.
Yeah. Well, and it's, and here's the other thing too. That's kind of a weird, I don't know. I mean, I know it's not necessarily the case. There are things that you can have in your life that make that store more valuable. It's a weird little game. If you don't have enough freezer space, you really can't take full advantage of, especially the freezer section and the kind of bulk stuff that you can get there.
Yeah.
You really do need to get just an extra freezer. And I did. I got an extra one, and that kind of spurred me to be like, well, now I can go back to Sam's Club and make use of, you know, what is it, like the Fat Boy ice cream sandwiches where there's 96 in a box,
right?
You know, but it's like, yeah, man, but per unit that deal's just too good to pass up, man. So yeah, no, it's pretty wild, but no, it's been fun. It's been fun kind of going back there, because it is a different experience than it used to be. It's like, it's weird how there really is like a massive chunk of that store that is devoted purely to people doing shopping for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. You see it in like places like Kroger, as well. You just see them running around with these big carts with all these cubbies on it, and they're just filling things in. And it's amazing. Like just to see the system that has been created just in this short window of time. 'Cause pre 2020, you never saw that. Like you may have seen a
No.
little bit of it. Like we did .com pickups and stuff like that where we used to work, but like, it's these are like full on shopping lists. It's kind of crazy.
Well, and I mean, really, we have integrated a whole new thick layer of indentured servitude into a lot of business models in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that we didn't have like it's like DoorDash and stuff like that. It's not that that stuff didn't used to exist. It's just that it's all the more prevalent now.
Yeah.
And it is kind of it's something akin to how I've always been a critic of how, for at least ever since the 2000s, especially, um, most of corporate America and just developed nations corporations, especially high tech stuff, they've been marketing and selling luxury items to segments of the market that can't really afford them.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford that level of luxury, but fuck it, man, I'm buying that phone. And I'm going to get another one in a year and a half. And it's not because you really want to, but because these things are designed to fail. These things are designed to break structurally. It doesn't matter if it's your car or if it's your phone or if it's your fucking clothes. Everything just breaks down a whole lot easier. And even our luxury stuff is breaking down. And that new layer of servitude is luxury services that most people really, when you think about it yourself, it's like, do you and your family really need to have somebody else do your shopping for you? It's the same thing it's the same thing with the Amazon warehouse. I mean, what is that if not a store with somebody doing your shopping for you? And at first it was really awesome. Like, I mean, that was the thing with DoorDash and those food delivery services. Something about it, and I really do believe this was the plan. A lot of these venture capitalists, a lot of these businesses, maybe even they didn't realize it, but it's like, we're gonna make this stuff a really good value at first until people kind of get addicted to it, and then we'll raise the prices in really obscure and weird ways. And they've gotten to the part now where it's like, you've seen this, you've heard about this, going to go to Starbucks or something, and it's like they want the tip up front, and it's like, for what?
Mm.
For using the register? I go and I don't have the pizza delivered to me anymore. I go to the drive-through of it, and it's like there's a tip, thing on the little pad and whatnot. They're asking for. It's like, what am I tipping you for? Do you not get paid?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at a certain point, like, this can't be a thing where it's like you're not a waiter. Are they really paying you like a reduced minimum wage, expecting that there's a tip involved with it? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that I think that tipping's wrong. I just think that it really can't be every single portion of our lives.
Yeah.
Because, in like when I went to Vegas, yeah, there's an expectation that there's more tipping, but that also kind of is inclement in you to kind of think about, well, just how much service do you really want? Do you really need them to carry your bags everywhere? Because if you want that, they can do it, but you're going to be forking over a couple bucks.
Yeah. 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 It's that white glove that people look for sometimes, where it's like, I think for us, it breaks down to, we're already, working until a certain time. And then we've got just this small window of time to hang out with our kid before it's bedtime. And so we're just like, all right, well, where can we save time? And it usually comes in the grocery shopping kind of situation, so that we can just get home, start cooking something and just hang out. But it's also just convenient, it's just convenient just not to have to go and figure out, because if anything's going to make you spend more money, it's going and actually walking the store and walking by all this other stuff. You're like, oh, that looks good. Oh, I'm hungry. I'm going to grab some of this. Going to the grocery store hungry is a terrible thing. So it's kind of like, we kind of use it as a saving ourselves from ourselves type situation,
Well, and as you said, it's the ultimate resource. It's not money, it's time.
Time is everything, man.
And anywhere you can clip a little bit, get an extra time, because you're not going to get any back. You always make more money, you ain't making more time. And yeah, I understand, especially with all of the time that you upfront know you're going to have to sacrifice just so that you can have the money that you need. It's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really bizarre extended resource management game that yeah, it no, I understand exactly where you're coming from. It's something that I think about when you think about how critical getting enough sleep is. People talk about how is it that millennials stay so young looking? I'm willing to bet that a lot of it has to do with sleep. Because the people that do tend to age a little bit faster, man, they're not getting enough sleep. 5 hours a night is not enough. That's harsh on you, you know? And but where else are you going to cut it? Because you have so many demands on your time, more responsibilities you stack on top of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, I mean, especially with you got your kid, kid's very young. And I imagine that when she gets older, it'll kind of, there'll be some things that she'll just kind of do on her own that you won't need to like constantly be, providing for. And, she can just kind of take care of herself, and that'll kind of ease off a little bit. But yeah, for now, I know that, yeah, it's just any amount of time that you can find that isn't like, that isn't structured, it's just, let's just hang out. Let's just relax for a little bit. I mean, for 90 minutes, but hey, take it where you can get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we just reset the clock because we're going to have another kid. So we're going to have a second kid in beginning of summer. So we'll just continue that. So we're just trying to play that game of like spend as much time as possible.
You'll get that child tax credit. That's gonna make things a lot of fun. That makes it worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Where they did figure out the well, I guess before I get to this, so I was thinking about just the fact of like there is the nice thing, based on how closely tied, especially our generation, but how closely we're tied into like nostalgia, right? There's a nostalgic feeling when you actually go out and shop. I get a nostalgic feeling when I go to Target and walk around. Like I get a nostalgic feeling when I go, anywhere and just kind of like Sam's would feel really nostalgic for me because I spent a lot of time as a kid going to Sam's. My mom was raising a bunch of boys, so you got to buy in bulk at that point. But I think it just kind of leans into that a little bit, but I still feel like everyone's trying to catch up to Amazon, and until they can get what Amazon has going on, they're always going to be behind. Everybody's behind Amazon right now. Mm-hmm. As far as their processes go, as far as their I guess efficiency goes. And we noticed this past week, we took a quick trip down to Florida, and we did a little Disney trip. And that's another machine that has figured out the time game. You can either pay extra on top of the already pretty expensive ticket you're paying to get the lightning lane, so you don't have to wait 2 hours in line, which I did one day with our buddy Sheets. We waited 2 hours in line for an Avatar ride. It was really good, but because we had one more park we were going to the next day, and I was like, I am buying the lightning lane tomorrow. I don't care. Yeah. I'm going to pay the extra, whatever it is, $50 or, $100 even. I can't stand in that line for 2 hours.
Well, when you consider your initial investment, all the trouble that you went through, it's not just the money, because especially when you travel to get out there, it's all the time, all the stress of it, because and we'll get into this a little bit more when we talk about getting to Vegas, going to the airport these days is another example of that, where every little bit of convenience and comfort and savings is behind these like progressive paywalls.
Oh yeah.
And it's intense. You'll get to where, and again, you think about it, it's like in some instances, if because I had another friend of mine who went, his kid, they made the big promise because during COVID, his little boy was like 3-4 years old, and they were gonna go to Disney World and stuff, but then nope, we're not.
Yep.
And they decided it's like, no, we're doing it, but we're going all the way. And they went all the way, got the deluxe Airbnb. They went to Disney World, but then they also went to Universal and all that kind of stuff, and made a big, huge, massive week of it. And it was a pretty penny, but he was telling me about how it's like, oh yes, totally, man. $350, $400 just for the privilege, the feeling of superiority, because it's like, oh, excuse me, don't have time for you plebeians in your line over there. going over here and I'll just be getting on the ride. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
And at a certain point, it's like, yeah, but you got to do it because I mean, seriously, you're going to screw off for 2 hours when some of these rides are like, these experiences are like 15 minutes.
The Avatar ride was 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
2 hours. It was amazing. They did a great job with it, but it was 2 hours in line for 4 or 5 minutes of a ride. And even when you do shell out, right, where you're like, all right, I'm getting the lightning lane. We're going to, you can schedule your ride. So you just walk up whenever the app's like, ding, it's time for you. You're in the time period where you can go and just walk straight onto the ride almost. There's still levels to that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was seeing people that were, and Sheets was telling me about this because, since they live down there, they're annual pass holders. Like, oh yeah, if you pay enough money, they will actually just assign you a cast member for the day that will just walk you around the park and walk you straight to the front of every line. You don't have to wait. It's just like the whitest of white glove service. Right. And, I saw a couple of them.
Are buying a butler.
Yeah. Yeah. Then talking about indentured servitude. I mean, it's absolutely like, I saw a couple of them, here and there, but they're just walking around with the person that's in like a full, full jacket and setup, and they're just walking them to the front of every line. Doesn't matter who paid for a lightning lane. Doesn't matter who paid to be there, how long they were in line. They just get to walk right up, get on the ride, take their ride, and they go to the next one. They just get to do whatever they want. I'm like, that is fuck you money right there.
Well, and sometimes it's similar to the thing of, people talk about how it's like, it's weird that people are wanting to go get married at Disney World. I'm like, what do you mean weird? Do you have any idea the amazing package that they will sell you where when you put it side by side you can get a lot of this stuff like locally and you can do it piecemeal and kind of put it together versus just getting these little packages that they have to offer. It's actually worth it to get these packages, strangely enough.
It's peace of mind, and it's time. It's time spent. Like, it's just like what we were talking about, the best commodity, time and peace of mind, and everything's put together for you, and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, it's a little more expensive, but fuck it, man. Just like your friend said, you might as well go as all out as your budget will allow, or as all out as you're willing to blow your budget apart, right? Because you're not going back for at least a couple years, few years, if that, or if ever, who knows?
Well, and this is a nice enough segue for me to talk about my trip going to Las Vegas too, because
sure.
On this idea of, again, the ultimate resource is time. And something about me, I've gotten to where in my old age, I have every vacation in my head. I remind myself, it's like, okay, there's going to be something that goes stupid.
Sure.
Something's going to go wrong. And you need to just mentally prepare yourself. Give yourself some frustration bandwidth to get through it because you don't want it to poison the whole experience.
Yep.
But it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's usually going to be related to something is cutting into your convenience or something is wasting your time. And for me, it was the trip over because, I like a really great nerd. I did my research before I went to Las Vegas, and despite all efforts to the contrary, I mean, here's something for anybody who's never been to Vegas. This is just something that you need to come to grips with. There's no way to do it cheaply.
No.
You are going to spend more money than you want to, but the trick and the game is how much bang for your buck can you get?
Yep.
And there are different levels. Like there's different hurdles you have to get through and things that are just going to cost you money whether you like it or not. And for me and from my experience and from my research, the one biggest hurdle when it comes to Las Vegas, it's kind of two-part. It's the travel part. It's the actually getting there, which, it doesn't matter whether you're driving or if you're going to be taking a plane. Getting there is one thing, but then once you're there, getting around is a real trick. And again, emphasis on the word trick.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways around it, but they're all kind of a little bit cloaked in mystery. And that was something, that I found up front, I had the biggest problem of my trip so I have a connecting flight and I go to Chicago where it was freakishly cold. Wasn't really a lot of weather, honestly. It's a clear blue sky day, but holy shit, it was cold outside.
Cold as the dickens up there, yeah.
Yeah, like you step outside and it's like a big, huge cloud of smoke comes out your mouth when you're talking. Cold.
Oh yeah, Lake Michigan will do it, man. The wind off lake.
And I had a 10-hour delay and layover in Chicago, not because of the weather, but because of staffing, because it didn't have enough people to get on the plane for rest. And I knew this because they kind of told me and they kind of slipped it when I was starting out from my first flight going out there, because that was early in the morning. Because the idea was, it was like, okay, well, get there around 3-ish, for check-in. And I really got there around 11-ish.
Sure.
But at the same time, they told me when I got there, it was like, I don't know if your next flight when you get there is going to be late or not, or whether you'll make it. It's like, oh, looks like you're having trouble finding a crew for crew rest.
Or their crew's timing out. Yeah.
Yeah, the regulations for that. And so you get out there and it's wild. Like, I knew what was going on, but you could tell, like, the people that they had sort of, because it was a long wait. They had like shift turnover while we were there. All of the laundry list of reasons they went through, where at first it was like, at first it was something mechanical. And I'm thinking, I was like, that's a crock of shit. What's wrong? You'll say it's something mechanical, but you won't actually define what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you did, it's like, that's the staffing issue all over the thing, because it's like every issue is going to now take 4 times longer to diagnose and fix because you don't have enough people out there to actually fix it.
Sure.
But then, and then it turned into, oh yeah, now we don't know if we have a pilot. And that's another thing where it's like, yep, having recruitment problems for pilots, and all this stuff is just eating away at time. But I did get there again, took a little while. And then, when I first got there, rightly or wrongly, I treated the experience very much like an open world video game, like Grand Theft Auto or something, where really one of the first and most important things to do is, figure out how to get around, because there are multiple transit systems in there. And now that I have the benefit of hindsight, if I ever go back, the idea is very much going to be just, all the options that you have available to you to get out of there and to get into the city from the airport. Dude, just take the bus.
Part of me just pictured you just landing in Vegas, walking outside and yanking someone out of their car and just getting in and driving off. Grand Theft Auto.
Elbow in the window. Get in the car and just, let's go, man.
That's the way to do Vegas. Just yank someone out of their car. Hey, I like this Toyota Tercel. Let me take it.
Drugs have taken hold. No, I just, obviously Uber, most convenient, hands down, most convenient option. They'll pick you up just about anywhere and drop you off just about anywhere within reason. But the thing is, all these options have like a pro and a con.
Oh yeah.
And that one, it's like, that shit gets real pricey real fast.
Yeah. If you're going to pay for that convenience. Yeah.
But then it's like, the without question, the best. And I mean, I'm sure you've probably, when you went there too, did you use the Deuce bus?
We never used the bus, but the hotel we were at had a stop on the transit line on the train. Yeah. So we mainly did that because it will take you straight down to the convention center, because that's where we were going, right? And so we would just hop on there, and then anywhere else we had to go, we would pick between Uber or taxi, because depending on where you were at, sometimes the taxi was faster and cheaper because they would have a proper taxi stand, because of course they're going to try to box out Uber. You got to go to a whole different part of the casino/hotel where the Uber picks you up. There's only like a designated small space, but since they've got ties with the taxis and probably the whole thing that they're involved in, they've got a nice big taxi area for you to get in. So sometimes it was just easier to jump in a taxi and tell them where you're going. The problem you may have had, but we definitely had while we were there, because we were there in October, so a few months before you. They were literally 3 weeks away from having the F1 races, and the city was getting ready for the Super Bowl. So there was construction everywhere. It took us the better part of an hour and a half, 2 hours to go like 2 miles, in a taxi, and not like a walkable 2 miles, like a 2 miles where you had like 80% of it was on the freeway and then back off. But it was really hard to get around. And like, we were in this one taxi and the guy was just like, I thought the taxi driver was going to cry. He was like, it's been like this and we can't make money because we're all stuck in traffic. We're all stuck in traffic, and we we can't turn fares like we used to because we can't get anywhere. It was bad. I don't know, how was the traffic while you were there?
No, you had a situation where, you know, the Super Bowl, they were still doing stuff for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the, you know, that's the pro and con when it comes to that Deuce bus. The Deuce bus is a double-decker bus that goes up and down the strip and into Fremont Street,
Mm-hmm.
but it goes so far enough down south where it's like there's a small bus station that it connects to, and it's run by the city. So it's a city bus that you have, like they have an app where you can just log on to that and you can just buy a fare there. And it gives you a little QR code that you can just scan on it, just get on there whenever you want.
Awesome.
And they'll give you a 3-day pass for 20 days or a 3-day pass for $20, which is a sweet deal because I also stayed in a hotel that had the monorail station, and the monorail station is very convenient if you're doing that, and it'll take you a long way very fast. It does that does not have to be that you don't have to worry about traffic when you're on the monorail.
Right.
That thing doesn't give a shit about that.
Right.
And so it'll get you places really quick. But the thing is, there are so few stops on the monorail that you're going to have to kind of accept the fact that, well, baked into the using the monorail option is there's going to be plenty of walking along with it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's the thing about it. You know, a lot of these options and a lot of these transit systems, they're definitely useful in the sense of it's not just how, again, they save you a lot of time. Because walking around, you know, again, is the cheapest, but the longest option. And again, it's so damn big.
Yeah.
The strip is 4 miles long, dude.
Well, and I think I told you, like, when you were talking about it, because I was kind of pumped for you. It was your first time out there. I was like, this is going to be great. I was like, just keep in mind, something may be 2 blocks away, but you don't have a direct path to anything on that strip. You have to go up and over and down and down one, you know, half a block and up and over, because you can't just walk straight down the strip. There's no way to do it.
I got to a point, this was interesting. So I know what you're talking about in terms of like, there are places that you like when you're, I don't know if this happened to you. There were times where I was walking around outside where I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. You know, yes. I'm like walking around and I'm like, there's a lot of people that are like, you know, employees and stuff like that, and they're driving forklifts and shit and whatnot, and nobody's saying jack shit to me because I'm looking around and it's like, yeah, but it's like there's occasionally a tourist out around here and there's a homeless person or something like that, street people wandering about, and it's like nobody's saying anything to me. And then there were times where it's like I'm wandering through this happened to me when I was going through the Venetian. I got to a point where I realized it was like, oh, I guess there's a convention going on, and then I stopped and remembered like, wait a minute, they're all wearing badges. Uh-oh. And so I was kind of like, I got to get through this as quickly as I can. Mm-hmm. But everything about the place, every building, the layout of the streets, everything is meant to confuse you and meant to be a maze. And it's very hard to just like, where the fuck is the exit?
Yep. They don't want you to leave, and they want you to walk past everything. You trust me. If you just take notice, any of you who go out to Vegas, take notice where you get off the escalator. When you have to cross a street and you get off, you're always getting off the escalator in front of a big place that you've heard of before. It's all by design. They want anyone who's just kind of casually walking to have to walk by all the big places to lure you in. It's pretty brilliant, but at the same time, like if you're just trying to get from point A to point B, it's not convenient at all.
Well, and then there's also the little tricks that are used to facilitate privacy and to facilitate the divisions of people. You go to buffets, and there are clearly this is for the, you know, the real ritzy players club people. Yeah. And then there's the seating stuff for the rest of you fucking assholes. And it's abundantly clear. Everybody's got this in some fashion. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a little more pronounced than others. But yeah, there's a lot of places where, and it's even when you walk into a lot of big resorts where it's like, you know, there is that part of the property that is where the rooms are. And listen, you know, not all hotels are this way, but for some of them are like, if you don't have a key, don't even think about stepping near those elevators. Yep. Because they have people standing there that are just like, man, they'll kick your ass the fuck out of that building in a second if you don't have any business being there. And that's part of it is, I imagine, because there are cameras everywhere, except when you start getting to bathrooms and rooms, like private rooms, that's where they can't, like their ability to watch you and to keep an eye on you is limited. And so that's when you start seeing like an actual physical presence of people around there.
Yeah. Well, it's also liability, right? They're just like, well, the guests are paying to be here, and we don't want to, we don't want to jeopardize any possible money that's coming in and out of this place. So there were a couple places you went, like the Venetian and places like that, where like the hallway that led to the elevators, there was a dude standing there, and he was looking for you to tap that card and for that light to go green before he let you go by. Absolutely, absolutely.
No, I did kind of feel, and I'll ask you this. So, were the cops out in force, just out there and around all over the place when you were there?
I feel like I didn't see as many cops as I thought I would, but I know they were there. Does that make sense? I think that I want to say that their police force, kind of to me, I kind of envisioned them as being more like drone pilots, and they were just like, they're just all watching cameras, and they're like, oh, deploy these guys over here because this is going on. But I feel like I didn't see that many cops. But again, I wasn't really looking for it. I mean, I would see a car now and then, but it didn't feel like an overwhelming presence. Did you feel different?
I kind of got the impression that it's like they're there, they're visible, and they're not there like just one or two. It's like they cluster together. It's like 3 or 4 SUVs together, and it's like eight guys together, and they're out there. I didn't see anybody roughing anybody up or anything like that. You didn't see a whole lot of you didn't see a lot of lights or hear a lot of sirens or anything, but they were there.
Yeah.
And they, clearly kind of, had the idea of just like, no, we're here. You watch it, especially out on the strip. There's definitely, because there's a bunch of people out there. We're at a point now where, the COVID era is over and the crowds are back. And yeah, you could tell that a lot of people were talking about the gear up to the Super Bowl and whatnot, because that's a big thing for them.
Yeah.
Not just in the sense of, oh, it's the Super Bowl and that's going to bring a bunch of people here, which means money, but they've also had a big push with sports betting and stuff like that, which is, looks like it's kind of paying off, but we'll see.
First time ever in Vegas for the Super Bowl. Like they were making a big deal out of that in the F1 race because it was the first year of the F1 race. And to kind of tag off what you were talking about with the cops, you also know that there's got to be some agreement with the casinos of like, hey, we don't want a bunch of cops standing in front of our casino. We've got some people that can fuck people up inside too. So there's probably a little bit of that where like the cops are just like, we'll just stay at these areas, and if we got to deploy to one section or another, we can, because that the security in a casino, especially a nice one, is probably just as good as the police.
Well, and I imagine it's probably, I imagine it goes along the lines of, when it comes to the property, when it comes to the building and stuff like that, yep, internally, your private security forces, they've got that locked down. The streets themselves, the actual streets, especially the big streets where there's a lot of traffic and a lot of capacity for people to get hurt from moving vehicles, that's where the cops, like, that's where they reign supreme, I imagine. Because that's the other thing, like, you see, because there's, you see a lot of Las Vegas police, but you also see plenty of state police out there. But no, I mean, I didn't feel like it was onerous or anything like that. But no matter what you do, you always feel like there's eyes on you at all times, and it's just kind of the way it is. But no, I enjoyed using the Deuce Bus. There's then there's also, so let me ask you this, because you went to did you go to CES?
No, we went to TwitchCon.
Oh, okay. So but you went to the convention center. Did you try, like, was the boring loop?
Oh yeah, the loop was down there. So
yeah, did you try it?
So where the monorail dumps, it's the monorail, where the rail jumps you off, there, where they were having the, of course, where they were having the convention I was going to was the furthest point, and that's a giant convention center. Like you're like, all right, I can walk for 30 minutes and get to the other side where I'm supposed to be, or I can go down to this little loop where you get in a Tesla and it rides you to the other side underground. And that was a very interesting experience. Talking to that guy that he's been doing, like the guy that drove us from the monorail station over to the place where we needed to be, had been doing this for years. And he was like, yep, been doing it for years, just blah, blah, blah. Everything was a Tesla. And, he seemed to not really have too much gripe over what he was getting paid.
That's what struck me. What struck me about it is how mundane it was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like right now it's just a couple stops. When I tried it, and it was like, it's $5. And it's essentially like, I mean, when you think of it, you actually lay it out on a map, it's like you're paying $5 for it to take you across the street underground. And it's weird because, like, there's a lot of like red, green, blue, multicolor rainbow lights and stuff, which have nothing to do with the actual functionality of it. It's just so it looks cool. It feels like you go down into kind of an underground, it's like a subway station, but it's almost like it's almost like a Willy Wonka expressionistic movie set subway station.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
the boat
there's
ride.
there's nothing industrial about it. And it's like just these very flat, clean walls that just have a perfectly round hole, and a Tesla, comes out and it just sort of drives in, and it's dead silent. And it's like, yeah, it's like $5 and it just takes you across. And it's like, and you get there and it's like, it's ridiculously short. It feels like it's going to be a little bit longer than it is, and it's just not. It's like, dude, they drive you across the street.
Yeah, well, you don't have to put up with any of the traffic, no lights, no pedestrians. You just point A to point B, like as close as the crow flies as you can go, right? And then we talked we chatted with our driver a little bit, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the plan is to have these tunnels run all over the Vegas, and just get them.
They were talking about that to me too, man.
So essentially, it's a car subway, like you said.
Well, and the original, as I understand, like they pivoted their idea. The idea originally was, it was like they were talking about, we're going to build a tunnel from here to LA, and they were like, no, never mind. That's a long tunnel.
That's
longer than
it's
tunnel. It's not actually a long period of time. Like, honestly, it's what? It's like 90 miles.
Yeah, but still
to get from LA to Las Vegas, but still,
all the zoning codes for all those different areas too. Dude, that would take for fucking ever.
And it's also something that's like, I mean, again, you wouldn't be able to just have like one long straight shot like that and just drive Teslas through it. What would happen if something went stupid in the middle of it with like the Teslas, and like one gets backed up, the whole lane is backed up? That won't work.
There's no way to get around. Like, so if someone broke down on the loop there, right? There's no way to get around. There's no way to get around.
And it's not, and they weren't going to, the whole idea was like, oh, we can make these little capsules that go inside. It's like, again, you're not there yet. What really works, and what I give them credit for, is like the machine that actually drills the hole. Yeah, that thing works.
Yeah,
that thing works just great, and it will bore a hole that a car can drive through, and it can do it very efficiently and very cheaply.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style.
And when we're talking about like just within a city, they've gotten to where their idea now, like they were talking to me. This was the numbers that they were barking out at me. They were saying the plan, like actually, like the goal Elon Musk was talking about when he was at CES, when it was like they were starting to really kind of play it up as like, nope, it's just a regular part of the transit system of the city. He talked about how he wanted to have a tunnel going from the airport to Fremont Street that would take 8 minutes and cost $12. And that's, I mean, when you consider every other option for ride, it's like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Taxis, Uber, nothing offers that kind of straight shot for that speed, for that price. And there would be other stops and other places you can go around. If they can make that work in that city, and like, if they can scale it a bit more, because right now it's just a couple of stops within a couple blocks.
Yeah.
But if they can spread that around to where it's like, no, it is kind of this sort of weird little, shake and bake subway system that does not require that you have a whole bunch of steel for track, for cars, for things like that. It's like, nope, it's just little cars. Like, it's just Teslas, and you can just, pull them in and out as you need. Like, honestly, that's the kind of thing that if you can make that work and make it feasible, like in a dollars and cents way,
mm-hmm.
that will become attractive to other cities. Like, and I'm not talking just bigger cities, like Cleveland might be interested in like leasing that drilling machine, because that's really the bedrock of it is, can you drill the holes? Can you drill the tunnels? And he's on an aggressive schedule where they're talking about, the whole from Fremont Street to the airport, they were talking like 2026, 2027 when that could be brought online. And that's again, it's not just the money, it's the time, all kinds of resources. But it seemed boring, don't mind the word, but it was very mundane and very matter of fact. But that's honestly kind of a weird strength of it, that it just felt so standardized and simple and just matter of fact.
Well, yeah, and there's the fact of just think about any city, like let's take Atlanta for instance. It has a terrible transit system. There's MARTA, but it's not great, right? It doesn't get you to too many places, like in comparison to like a New York City subway system, right? And there's no way to now install a New York City subway system in like somewhere like Atlanta.
Mhm.
So it's an option. I mean, I don't think they could obviously bore up, the bottom of the whole city, but I mean, they could figure out, okay, these are our choke points. These are the areas that really need something like this, like the airport. You were talking about getting to the airport earlier, and yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing when you got to go to Atlanta to the airport. You're like, all right, well, our flight's at 3. We should probably be heading that way at 10 or 11. Like you're just like, screw it. We just have to just eat half a day, and we know that that's a thing that we're going to have to do. When I want to go to, because I live about 70 miles away from, as the crow flies, to Atlanta. It's no longer, hey, I've got a concert to go to tonight. It starts at 8. I'm gonna get off work at 5:30 and head down. No, you're taking a half day, just go ahead and be down there so you don't have to be in traffic for 2.5 hours to go 70 miles. It's just like that. You know what I'm saying? I think it could be good if they can implement it properly, but I guess we'll see.
And don't get me wrong, like right now, he is really the only player in that game.
Yeah.
Elon Musk. I'm more interested to see what will happen if and I mean, I imagine somebody will soon, patents be damned. Somebody else is going to figure out a way. It's like, I got a machine that'll drill that hole, do it comparably. And it's like, is it the same as his? No, but he doesn't own the process. He owns the machine. But there are limits to, what he can say. It's like, he can't just keep other people out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that, really what is more likely to happen, we're not going to see a big nationwide mass transit project on the scale of the Intercontinental Highway System and the way that was facilitated in the 50s. We're not going to see that. What we're going to have these clusters of transit systems that will all eventually interconnect. Because that was the thing. That was another thing about being in Las Vegas. They really have like 8 transit systems. And the thing is, they are all kind of interconnected if you know how to utilize them.
Mm-hmm.
But very, like, that's the thing about the Deuce bus. The Deuce is great because it's like, it really does kind of have the most robust amount of places that it goes, but it's the slowest. To get from the airport to Fremont Street using that route, you're going to be in that bus for an hour. And you are, as you said, you're the most susceptible to the construction stuff. And that's just the way it is. That's the, I don't give a shit about, the Super Bowl or whatever. They're always going to have some nonsense going on because it's the Strip, and they're always reinventing, they're always rebuilding stuff, and it just gets wear and tear, and it needs to be worked on.
Well, and it's the number one convention city in the world. Like it just is. You're always going to have anything going on. As we were getting there, there was a thing called MetalCon going on, like on the other side of the convention center, that was just like people who were in like the steel industry and like alloys and shit like that. There's a convention for everything, and almost always
I went for a convention,
Yeah,
that was the thing I was there for. And it definitely kind of, I can see that you would have, like, on a more national level, you would have these like burgeoning clusters that kind of need to find ways to interconnect. That's kind of the trade-off to it, because on the one hand, these projects are expensive.
Right.
That's what's appealing about the boring stuff, is that he's kind of got a bit of a cheat code with that machine as far as drilling the holes, that they're small enough that they can navigate around infrastructure. Because it's not just that they like go horizontally. It's like, no, you can kind of pivot them down, and you can kind of elevate them and move around to where they need to go. And as long as there's a car in there, it'll be fine. And I do think that, yes, they will be able one day to have a machine that makes a bigger hole. And then the other side of the equation is you need to have some kind of a capsule that can go way, way, way faster than just a regular car.
Yeah.
Because even if you are in a Tesla, it's like, your top speed can only be like maybe 30, 40 miles an hour down there. Even if you did have AI running it, that would just, I mean, again, there's only, if you have it connected to some kind of actual rail, and that there's not going to be anything in your way, and you can go straight shot very fast.
Yeah.
That's something to where you can start having options that would be like, oh yeah, you can be going from Kansas City to Chicago in all of 40 minutes.
Right. And it becomes a subway. It becomes a subway, or it becomes like an underground monorail. Like it's kind of crazy. Like the thing that popped in my head when you're like a capsule, like I thought about the Wonka Vader, just goes
right.
So it's an elevator that goes sideways, back and forth.
Well, and it very effectively circumvents the uncomfortable NIMBY problem.
Right.
That is, been the reason why we can't have high speed rail in the United States anyway. Because not in my backyard, man.
Yep.
So,
yep.
But that was honestly, that was one element of the trip that was kind of a bit of a highlight, was going and checking out that little network of stuff, and mapping it all out was fun. Yeah. I did a bit of an impromptu scavenger hunt when I was there, because again, it was my birthday.
Sure.
And so when it's your birthday, you go around begging for free play. And so I went on a scavenger hunt where I went all the way to Fremont Street. I went from, like, there's this space between, like, so there's the Sahara, which is kind of at the very top of the strip, and then there's the Strat, which is 2 blocks away. And I've been warned online and by more than one driver, hey, you don't go walking around outside in that no man's land between the Strat and the Sahara, because just don't. Doesn't matter if it's day or night, especially if you're not alone. You take a car or something like that, because there was a 7-Eleven out there, and 7-Eleven shut it down because that's how dangerous it is. 7-Eleven shut down because it just stay out of there. Crime's under control. So I took an Uber to the Strat. And then from there, there's another really cool, this run by the city, and it's free. The Downtown Loop. It's just a bus that's like, I mean, tip your driver because it's nice, but it's just kind of, bounce around that northern part of the city and the downtown portion of it. Man, there's some really cool little spots up there. That is a really nice place for local art. I was on that bus riding around. Holy shit, man. They've got a section of that city where it's just like every street corner, every building is covered with a beautiful street art mural.
Yeah.
That's and they're big. Just magnificent. And all kinds of really nice stuff out there. Really, really vibrant arts district. A bit of it is not like the Strip. There are different kinds of people wandering around. And I'm not going to say that, like, there aren't some, kind of scummy looking characters walking around in the Strip, because there are. But the buildings are not as tall, but it's a different flavor of the city. And then I went up to Fremont Street and I clustered it around. There's a handful of hotels that have their own players clubs up there, and I signed up for them, and I got a little bit of free play. The thing about it these days is it's like, they don't just get, like, it used to be. It's like, you'd be like, hey, I'm, here's my birthday. It's my birthday. It's like, oh, hey, here's $10. Have some fun. Or, oh, here's $20. Oh yeah, have a good time. Thank you for coming and signing up for our club. What they'll do now is they'll play this game. It's like, well, if you play the slots and you get 200 points, then we'll go ahead and give you $50. It's like,
right. You got to get there. No. You got to get there before they'll just hand it to you.
That's right. But I went all the way through Fremont Street, and then I came back down, went back to the Strat, went to the Sahara, and came all the way down the Strip. And I've got me a nice stack of cards. Here's all of the rewards that I've got. So I've got a Plaza rewards card for the Station Plaza Hotel network up there. There's the One, your experience card. I got that. That's for the Circa and for D and Golden Gate. These are mostly Fremont Street.
I like Golden
hotels.
Gate. Golden Gate's a lot of fun.
There's True Awards, which was let's see here. This is for the Strat and for Aquarius and Casino and Skypod. I got a Sahara, the Infinity Rewards card club. Got one of that. Got the Binions All Access Players Club card.
Nice.
The man, this place actually seemed really fascinating. The El Cortez, which is an old spot. They had a Club Cortez card. Man, I'll tell you what. You get. It was a fun little tour, wandering around and doing the scavenger hunt, because it's like you have to go into the casino. You have to kind of go deep into the heart of the casino to find their players club, because that's where they live. But you go in there, you really do get an opportunity. It's like, okay, you'll really get a good look at what this place is like.
What are they offering, right?
And you're going to interact with some people. And I was surprised. I mean, everybody was very nice everywhere I went. I don't want to give the impression that nobody was rude to me. Everybody was very cool. But something about the folks at the Cortez, man, they just really, just the interactions and the conversations and things with people, like, just left an indelible mark. Maybe like, shit, I want to come back just because you people are so damn nice.
Yeah.
Something about it, because it was the one place out of everywhere that said, and we really think of ourselves as a family establishment. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. You're the only person that has had the balls to say those words to me and to actually, like, not use any irony behind it. But I'm an Emerald member at the at the Club Cortez. But no, that was a really cool place. Out of a lot of the places I visited on Fremont Street, and don't get me wrong, like, I'll be going back to Las Vegas. I need to go stay on Fremont Street. There's some really, that whole side of Vegas is its own side of Vegas. There's a lot of cool stuff up there. The Circa Hotel had a really nice game room. I did not go into the D, but I've heard stories about how, man, if you want to go and be pampered and have just a balls out wild Vegas experience, man, go to the D. You can't help it, man. You go to the bar just to go get a drink. It's like, yep, they got ladies dancing on the bar because fuck it, because Vegas.
Because why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. But then I got the Treasure Island players card. I got the Circus Players Club. I'm a clown. I'm a clown tier because I just got the card. And it's Circus. That's another place that I didn't have time to hang out in, but it's like, when I come back, I'm gonna wander around this place. This place is weird.
No, yeah, there's some weird little nooks and crannies up in that area. Like, it's so fun to just wander into some of those spots, and just to see what they've done to some of those places. Like, I forget the one place they actually did up a really nice spot on Fremont recently, and like some of the original neons are inside, and it's so cool to see. I don't know. I like Fremont a lot. I really do like what they call Old Vegas, but they're moving a bunch of newer stuff in there too. It's they're doing their thing where they just kind of roll around, like, where it's like, no, there's like significant portions of this strip, which is like the part that everybody thinks of with Vegas. There's significant portions of that strip that are really old now, and like so they're kind of like, now Fremont Street's kind of getting the treatment of like everything's getting refaced or redone completely, and it's kind of cool because I feel like every time I go, something has changed. And so there's something new to see. It's kind of like when, an amusement park kind of cycles out an old ride and puts something new there. It's really interesting. What do you think was your highlight stop? What's the stop where you're like, I'm going to remember this shit. This is really fucking cool.
Okay. Well, okay. So coming to that, so when I was on my little scavenger hunt, there was a hotel in particular called it was the newest hotel on the strip, from what I'm told. I could be wrong about this, but they said it was like, this is the newest one that's opened up. It was called Fontainebleau. Fontainebleau was this is the way I've been describing it to people. It's very difficult to put into words. I'll articulate it, but it's like,
sure.
Inside, it felt like I was wandering around a building in Coruscant. Everything was so new, like, I'm talking shockingly brand new and really expensive. All the servants and all the worker people walking around, like, they looked like everybody was wearing a brand new suit. Everyone was wearing brand new clothes. Everything was brand new. And the inside, it was fucking cavernous. Ceiling's like 60 feet in the air in the main casino. And there's other places like this, but it was just absolutely beautiful inside. And outside, dude, I'm wandering around outside. It's like, I feel like this is a building from Demolition Man.
I'm looking at pictures. It's fucking crazy looking. I didn't go here. I didn't even know it was there.
Because it's, again, brand new. That's the kind of place that I'm like looking around and I'm like, okay, another thing that I didn't do this time, but people have talked about is it's like the split stay. You go to Vegas and it's like, well, you don't stay at one hotel. You stay at one hotel for one night and then you go to another hotel for another night. Because you're just going for like maybe 20, 48, 72 hours or something. And it's like you have one hotel that you go to that's like you're going to spend one night there, but it's like go to one of the nice hotels where it's like, yeah, you're probably going to drop like $280 for a night.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a really, really, really nice stay.
Yeah.
That's the kind of place. And then you go to like another place where it's like, oh no, you're getting like comp rates or something because you got points on their plan or some shit.
Sure. Well, it's that Disney thing we were just talking about. You're going to be there. You might as well get a taste of the good stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And because don't get me wrong. Like most of the time when you're in Las Vegas, like the room is great, but the room is just a place for you to, sleep, shower, shit, shave, and fuck if that's an option. But
sure.
At the same time, I mean, there's just so much else going on. It's like, why would you want to hang out in your room? Like, go out in the world, go look for some fun.
Yeah.
But Fontainebleau seemed like the kind of place that, again, was really just arrestingly beautiful. And I remember thinking, it's like, yeah, I'm going to put this in the category of like, there are places where, again, they're just kind of like, some places out there, like, like, okay, so Golden Nugget.
Sure.
It's not
Classic.
a bad spot. It's just that it's not as glamorous, as like, say Resorts World. Resorts World was like kind of the other, like, so when we were talking about the boring loop that started at the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
Across the street, quote unquote, the end of the line on that particular set right now is this place called Resorts World, where they also had just a stunningly nice environment.
Yeah, it's pretty new as well. Like I think it's only a few years old, right?
Yeah, and it's like 3 massive hotels, but then also basically like a mega shopping mall connected to the casino and a whole bunch of other restaurants. It's just it was just this big, huge like chunk of resort, which you notice they've got down there. They've got like these sectors. Like that's again, there's so much about the place that feels gamified. Like there's the Wynn sector, which is like there's the Wynn, there's the Encore, and then there's the whole goddamn golf course.
Right.
And it's one little space. There's there's the place where Aria is, and it's got its own little train inside and whatnot. That's its own sector.
Yep.
You have Caesar's Palace, like in the actual Caesar's Palace, like when you look on the map, there's this like around Caesar's Palace, like the 4 or 5 main big hotels around it, the Flamingo, the Cromwell, the Paris, all of those like immediately around it are all part of the Caesars network. So it's all just its own, big sector. And then south of the whole of the strip, that's MGM land.
Right.
But no, I remember that Resorts World looked good. And then also, Wynn, I got a lot of people telling me that Wynn has probably the most luxurious and awesome rooms, not just in the sense that they look good, but it's like they're like future rooms. Like you have a console on the wall with a button for just about everything you could imagine.
Yeah.
Where instead of it, being like you have a servant, it's like no, the whole room is like a robot, future Star Trek room.
Right.
But then also the Cosmopolitan sticks out too as a place to go, because I remember walking around, like that felt like the coolest place to just go hang out. Like their casino and their buffet and the area kind of downstairs, that place felt fucking awesome. And you felt expensive hanging out there, but those are the rooms that have the best views, because those are the ones where they really emphasize the balconies that you can get, and those places are not cheap. But that was something else that, again, I wasn't prepared. And it isn't until you get there and you can find a good spot to see, like either from the high roller Ferris wheel or the pod at the top of the stratosphere or something, or even if you do like you want to get like a helicopter ride or something, the view of that city at golden hour.
Oh, yeah.
Right after the sun has come down past the horizon, but there's still a lot of really beautiful orange in the sky. That is when that city comes to life, and that is, I mean, again, it's a sublime view. And there's a couple of places in the city where you can catch a glimpse of it and do it pretty effectively and not expensive. Like the Link High Roller, the big Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
that's a spot where it's like, I mean, honestly, even if you did pay full price and you didn't like finagle some way to like get a discounted one or a buy one get one free or something, it's only a couple bucks to get up there. But even if you wanted to splurge a little bit, you can get inside their bar car. And it's like, yeah, they take you up. It's like, all right, let's have a drink while we're here, and we'll take a nice little slow ride up there.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But no, I remember, there were a couple of locations that, again, going back, the split stay seems fun because even if you you're going to stay at some luxurious place, like that doesn't mean that the other place you're going to stay doesn't seem cool. Like, yes, to a certain degree, like it's kind of like with Circus, Excalibur, and even to a certain extent Luxor, and maybe even Mandalay Bay. It's like, yeah, they're kind of
showing their age big time.
Yeah, but they're still kind of fun. Like Excalibur's still, it's not called Medieval Times anymore, but they still have like the Tournament of Kings jousting show. Still have a massive arcade down there. Luxor still just looks fascinating from the outside.
Yeah, the big slanted walls and all that stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. I've stayed at the Luxor. I liked it, but you can tell like it's New Vegas. It's where New Vegas becomes Old Vegas. Is that area right now? You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
It's kind of crazy. And at some point, like, I'm glad I've been in those places. I've stayed at Excalibur, I've stayed at Luxor, and I'm glad I've been in those places. But that they're not long for this world because they're like, we need to put something here that's going to draw people in again.
Absolutely. And that's weird. That becomes that's like almost a culture of the city.
Yeah.
Everybody that you're talking to, because you've got most of your drivers that you're interacting with, whether they're on a bus or they're in a taxi or something like that, everybody fancies themselves a tour guide.
Right.
But they are, again, they've been around and they talk to people, but they will let you know that it's like, hey, make a point, and I did. Go catch that volcano show at the Mirage one last time, because this summer it's gone. They're going to put in a new Hard Rock Hotel, which I've seen some of the pictures of that, and that's like, wow, they really are going to make, like, the hotel itself is going to be a great big guitar.
Yep.
And it's just, they're just going to put it right on top of where the volcano used to be. It's like, that's just not going to be around anymore. They have this little thing where they kept telling me because I was telling people about this scavenger hunt. It was like, oh, if you can, for the ones that are like going out of business, just make a point, go get a chip and keep it. Because once those places are gone, like, that's the thing. Like, there are people who live around here and people who, again, they're collectors and stuff like that. They have collections of chips from old casinos that are just gone.
Right.
And they're never coming back. Like, Stardust, any number of hotels that have been kind of, burned down. But it's all part of the nature of the city. It's a city of reinvention. It's a city of competition. That was something that was really, again, it's kind of ephemeral and abstract. But it was something that, I saw there that made me feel good. There's a certain, like, I admit there are parts of the city that are grimy and questionable. It's not a place for kids. It's not.
No, really.
I don't care what anybody says. It's just, you got showgirls wearing pasties and shit walking on the street. It's like, you need to really, really be careful if you're going to take your kids there. It's not that there aren't places you can go, but you need to just, you need to make sure that you're being careful about it. But that being said, there's a lot of really healthy competition there. Everything is very expensive, but the deals are there if you're willing to find them. You're not going to be harmed by asking for something and you can't have it. Usually the answer is just no, and that's it. It's like, okay. But no, I had a really great time there. I ate at In-N-Out Burger 5 or 6 times, and oh my God. And it was nuts, because it's like, you go in there and at first you're like, you kind of get this sense of panic, like, oh man, I really wanted to come in here and get a burger, but Jesus Christ, there's like 15 people in line. But then after a minute, you realize, like, there are 60 people back behind that counter, and it's just
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. And they're just chunking them out, because that menu is just so dirt simple. It's like, we got cheeseburgers, and we make doubles, and we got fries, and we got Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
And we got that shake if you like that. That's what we got. And it really is just really super simple. People are just, it's all the time, because that place is just open all the time. But like, dude, it reeked of weed out front. It was glorious. That was the other thing that I noticed out there. Like, there's a lot of signs where everybody keeps saying, hey, you're not supposed to be smoking out here. And it's like, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
That's another reason why it's like, again, careful with your kiddos. Careful with it. It's absolutely fantastic for the 21 and over crowd. Couldn't recommend it more.
Yeah.
It's still America's playground. And again, if you know the tricks, You can save yourself some money. And the biggest one, I think, is to save yourself money that you didn't need to spend. Be wary of travel costs and just kind of, again, whenever you're going to go, I told myself, and I kind of planned it out. It's like, well, I'm going to do the scavenger hunt, but it's like knowing now what I know about that place and walking around. It's like, go there knowing it's like, okay, there's going to be a part of the city you're going to hang out there.
Yep. Be close to where you're going to be doing most of your shit. Like be close to that,
Absolutely. And it's not hard because seriously, there is like a mall style food court every 800 feet.
Mm-hmm.
There are options for food everywhere. And that was another thing that kind of, I'm glad that I identified early. My research kind of told me it was like, first off, and they said this, and this was a quest in and of itself. It was one of the first things I did my first day. And there were a couple lessons learned with this. At first I was like, oh, well, this isn't too far away. I needed to go find a Bank of America ATM.
Yeah. And
so the one that I needed to go to was at the shopping mall next to MGM Grand, which was on oh my God, I don't believe I'm actually saying this, on the 4th floor of the M&M store. Because sure enough, that's the only way you're going to get somebody to go up to the 4th floor of the M&M store. You got to put a Bank of America ATM on there. And because every other ATM, in addition to whatever other fees you get from your bank, every ATM in every casino all over the strip has a $10 fee attached to it to draw anything. And it's like, man, fuck that nonsense. I was going to go, and it was not too far because it was like, I was going to get on the monorail, which was at my hotel, and it was going to dump me off at MGM Grand, which had a monorail, and it was just short walk there. And I was like, I'll wear my sandals. A very, very, very poor choice. I am so sorry that I did that because because again, it's like exactly like you said, you think, oh, it's just a quick little walk, and it's like nothing is ever just a quick little walk.
Comfortable shoes because you will always fucking walk. You will always walk.
You get lost, and it's like, and I got me some. I started my blisters like on my first day trying that crap, and so I again learned a valuable lesson. Yes, indeed. The Bank of America ATM is up there. And I found out very quickly from people working there. It's like, oh, you're here for the ATM. Gotcha. And then they just ignored my ass.
Yeah.
But I found that, and that was helpful. But yeah, learn the lesson about your feet. And that's another thing, again, with this transit stuff is, walking around is not just about it eats up time because it takes a while. It's like, man, it is gonna pound on your dogs hard.
Yeah.
If you were not like a regular walker, a regular hiker, it doesn't matter what shoes you're wearing. Because I did have nice shoes and I wore nice shoes the rest of it, but it's like, dude, man, you're gonna come back. Your feet are gonna be feeling it. Feeling it hard, man.
Well, and one thing. So when I went out there for TwitchCon, first story before we get too far away from it, it is definitely not a place for kids. One of the more memorable things was me and a friend walking back, at night from one casino back to our hotel, which wasn't very far away. But a person who can only be described as a low-rate Steve Wilkos from Jerry Springer comes out from nowhere and just like, hey guys, want to motorboat some titties? Just out of nowhere. And we're just like, that was his pitch. And we were just kind of like,
and sometimes you got to develop your denial of no and just keep on walking. But I know exactly what you're talking about. You'd have those people that just pop up out of nowhere and tell you something that's like, and you get this little panic mode. It's like, oh, you want money from me?
Yeah, I was like, nah, man, we're good. Like we were kind of buzzed and we were like on our way back to our hotel, but it was just the most random thing. And just the rest of the trip, we would just be like, hey guys, just want to motorboat some titties. That became the whole theme of the trip, and it was wonderful. But what I'll tell people when they go out there is like, just people fret, like they're like, well, I could save like $50 a night if I go stay this place that's a little further away. I'm just like, yeah, but you're gonna pay that extra $50 or more getting back close to where you would have just already been there. So just spend a little more, stay exactly where you want to be, and don't, you'll save the money on transit.
Remember, your ultimate resource is time.
Time.
That's the ultimate resource because, I mean, again, you can pay a little bit of extra money, get a little extra time, but there are some choices that you make. It's like, look, if you sacrifice time, that's it.
It's over.
That's it. And discussion, man, you can't have your fun. And especially if you're just going there to hang out for a little while, because y'all went out there just like for a weekend, right?
Yeah, it was like a Friday, and we came back on a Sunday, like a Thursday or Friday, and we came back on a Sunday. It was a pretty quick trip, but like that's still kind of a really fucking long time for Vegas. Vegas time is like no other. It goes by quick, but man, you feel like you've aged a fucking year when you get out of there sometimes.
I went there for 6 days.
That's a long fucking time for Vegas, man.
Well, but that's just it. I planned ahead.
Sure.
Like I said, I lost 10 hours up front.
Yeah.
Because again, we haven't gotten there. We're getting to the Warhammer show, and I will tell the story of the Warhammer show.
Okay.
That was at the Rio, but no, the thing is, I'm glad I went there for early registration, which paid off in a way I'll show you. But no, I am really glad that I went there for a nice, good extended chunk of time. It allowed me to pace myself.
Right.
It allowed me to. I did not go there. I mean, honestly, I had like a couple things on my agenda. It's like, ooh, it'd be cool to do. I didn't do hardly any of them. And that's something else is you just have to kind of get used to. I think when you get into wanting to go, it's like, look, one of two things will happen. You'll either go and realize, city isn't for me, and you'll never go back. Because that is the way for some people. There is an intensity to that place that I can understand. Some people are like, that's not a vacation.
Yeah.
You know, but then for other people like me, there was that city spoke to me, that called to me.
Yeah.
It's a feast for the eyes. And it's one of those places that it rewards you to go to just kind of be like, hey man, next time we're going to hit that up.
Right.
I went and I caught a glimpse of it, but it's like everything is all one great big advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have things that I didn't get to do. I didn't get to visit the Pinball Hall of Fame, and that's okay. I'll check it out another time. You know,
Yeah.
I had a whole bunch of stuff that was kind of, put out to me. And again, I have a stack of these Player Club cards, and I'm already now starting to get the offers in the email like, hey, don't you want to come back?
Yeah.
We know it's not your birthday, but you can come back.
Yep.
You can come spend money and hang out, and it's so fun to come back. It's like, yeah, I will, but again, I'm going to be smarter with transit next time. I'm going to take the bus from the airport, because the thing is, if you get that $3 that $20 3-day pass for the Deuce bus, it includes a shuttle pass from the airport to the station that goes and gets the Deuce.
Nice.
So it's all wrapped up in there. And that's a 24-hour shuttle going to this very nice station, quite frankly, that a lot of places go and stop at.
Mm-hmm.
But that takes you all the way up the Strip. And that's the reason that's valuable is it's like, dude, anywhere you're going on the Strip, but even if you're going to Fremont Street, man, come on, it's not too bad. You get off of the long flight and stuff, man, get on that bus at that station. There's not going to be a lot of people that are actually getting on there. Go up to the top with that nice huge window up front and just relax a minute and enjoy your ride wherever you're going to go. It's not going to be that much.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that I took the time to, get my bearings, go to a number of different casinos and actually see what it's like, and also experience, firsthand. It's like, I didn't walk the entire Strip, but I walked plenty of it. And it really does, again, emphasize this notion that, like, one of the most important places, and it really is, I was so glad that I identified where it was, and I knew where it was Walgreens, CVS, because you go in there, that is without question the best dollar to actual like milliliter value you can get for water in the entire city. You'll find this is something I discovered. You want to don't ever throw away your water bottles. Always keep them in whatever bag you're carrying. And so if you have a couple water bottles, if you're ever in a hotel and you're wandering around and you see they're like in a video game, you're wandering around, it's like, holy shit, it's like a fairy fountain. It's those old school attached to the wall water fountains.
Oh yeah.
That's just free fucking water. Get every single bottle out of your bag and fill that up with that glorious, nectar, because it's the goddamn desert. Because that was something I noticed in the hotel I was at. It's like, I was just sheepishly asking like employees, like, hey, I know this might sound really dumb, but do y'all have like just like a wall water fountain or something hidden in here somewhere? Maybe I could, capitalize on it. Like, nah, man, we got rid of those during COVID, and they ain't coming back.
Yeah, and I always tell people when they go, like, make a list of things you would like to do. Just don't, because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment if you're like, I want to do all this stuff, and when you can't get to it, when it's like, you notice, okay, I've only take away about 25% of this list. I'm not going to get to the rest of it. You just have to know that you're going to miss things, because it's just like when you go to any like major theme park or any kind of big event, you're not going to make it to every little portion. It's designed so you don't get to all of it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do want to hear about the convention you went to. Before we run out of time, I definitely want to hear about that convention. Tell me about it, please.
We're at that point. So it was at the Rio. I went to early registration, and so that was smart, because I met like a handful of YouTubers that I've learned how to paint from online.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another thing that was like, again, didn't really know if that was going to happen or not, but when it did, I was just kind of taken aback by how just friendly and personable they were.
Yeah.
Duncan Rhodes. I met Duncan Rhodes, and Duncan Rhodes signed a t-shirt that I bought from his booth, because his team of salespeople were very, very savvy, and I respected their hustle. They were like, "Hey, if you buy 6 of these paints, we'll give you a t-shirt too." I was like, "Hey, can I just buy the t-shirt?" And it's like, "No, you have to buy the paints, and the t-shirt's included." And I was like, very slick.
That's
very
how they
slick.
get
you have the proper size, so all right, I'll take the metallics. That sounds fine.
A free gift with your sizable donation to PBS.
Right. Exactly. But no, meeting him was really nice. He was incredibly nice. I met Adam from Tabletop Minions, and I met Sam Lenz. Both of those guys were really cool. And then I met a couple of guys. They do a podcast called The Painting Phase. They're from the UK. It was Jeff and Pat, and they normally do their work with a guy named Peachy. It's kind of, so this is a weird story. So I went and I saw them, and I didn't expect that they were there. And I was like, "Hey, wow, it's YouTubers in the wild." And they're like, "Oh, hello." And I shook their hand, and we chatted amiably for a bit. And I was like, "Hey man, where's Peach? Is he not here?" And he were like, "Oh, well, Peach, actually, he's working on, so there's this documentary that somebody's making on Dungeons and Dragons."
Mm-hmm.
And they had him go for it. And so he, wasn't able to come, stuff like that. Oh, well, that's a shame. It sounds like a cool project, man. Can't wait for that to come out. And then, like today, like real time, because this was a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
A couple of days ago, I found out, it's like, oh, Peachy actually quit and is no longer on the painting phase. And so I don't know if they were just bullshitting me and just saying that to say that, or maybe he did do the documentary or something. But
he probably got an offer he couldn't refuse, kind of situation.
Well, I think he's starting his own channel, and it's going to be by himself. I think that what happened was he joined them, like he used to work for Warhammer, and he used to be the dude that made the YouTube Warhammer painting videos with Duncan Rhodes, until Duncan Rhodes realized, hey, I ain't getting paid shit, and I know y'all are making good money on these. So he went and started his own website, which you go sign up for a subscription. He has a ton of videos. And then he puts up like maybe 10% of his video output. He puts those on YouTube for promotion to kind of funnel people back to his website. And he's been making a killing because he made his own paint line. And again, he's found great success just kind of, again, on his own.
Yeah.
And other people, Peach and some other people, they kind of like, maybe I need to do that. So Peach jumped on with Painting Phase because they were going to have him do his painting. But the thing is, I don't think that they were doing enough painting for him. There was mostly just a lot of podcasting with the occasional painting video. And he was just like, I need to be doing more of this. Otherwise, I'm kind of like a fifth wheel. So I think that might have something to do with it. It's been pretty amicable. People haven't been rude or anything like that or backbiting. And you never really know what that kind of stuff. He gives a shit about that kind of YouTube drama. But at the same time, no, coming back to the show, all kinds of great vendors were there. I caught the the previews show.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big, huge 8-foot tall statue of a Terminator out front from Warhammer. That was pretty awesome. They had a whole bunch of stuff to take pictures of. They had a painting competition that I entered a piece in. I did not win, but that's not the point. The point was to get people. I've been painting long enough that I know I'm good. And good enough to where it's like when people who are not into this kind of stuff and want to be nice, they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so incredible and amazing! It's great!" It's like I really appreciate that. It's very nice.
Just to get it seen, just to get it seen, right? Did they give you any kind of feedback or anything like that, or was it?
No, they were wonderful. They were really, really, really kind. they were very kind enough to say, it's like, well, hey man, you're doing good enough stuff that you could totally sell these things and make some good money. So keep doing that. That's great.
Yeah.
You're definitely on the right track. They did recommend I mess around with glows with paint. Obviously, I've done a lot of glow work digitally. I'm really familiar with it, but I've been exploring that with paint. So they've been saying, be bolder. Be bolder. Your glows look fine. It's just that they could be more extravagant, and go for it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Make them really pop.
Yeah, it's something where you've got the foundations for it. So just reach harder, be more bold with the saturation of your colors, and allow like the aura of like you have a glow where you have pieces around it like sleeves and hands of something that holding something glowing. You've got little reflections and stuff. It's just that make it more intense. Make that aura, reach out to other things around it, and just have a little more confidence, be bolder with that. And with my bases, they said, there's this weird balance to be achieved where some people take the base that they're going to have their model stand on, the thing that is actually being showcased.
Sure.
They take more time and put more work into the base than the model itself. And it's ridiculous. How the hell do you play with something like that where it's like, no, you have like an entire biome, an ecosystem of plants and crap on here. This is a game piece. And yes, to be fair, whenever you're having like a display piece or something that's intended to sit on your shelf, yes, it's appropriate, but you shouldn't have your base outshine your model.
Yeah.
They said with me, you seem to understand that, like, yeah, you want to have contrast. You want to have your model be the thing that's focused on. You want to have the base be understated. It's just that your bases are a bit too understated, and you could stand to be a little more creative with what you're putting out there. And again, that's appreciated. I know they weren't being mean or anything like that. They're pointing out something that's hard to see, and so I'm glad they told me that.
Super valuable feedback. Like that kind of stuff is just valuable feedback that some people just don't think about, and to know that they're not coming from a bad place with it. And just like, no, this is how you get better, is you let people see it. You let people, break it down and be like, okay, well, here's where it could be better. It's not them saying you suck. It's just them saying, look, if you want to be on a certain level, you've got to focus on these things. It's very valuable.
Absolutely. No. And they said, it's where you're at right now is where a lot of people have been, that in Europe, it's different. This hobby is a lot older. This hobby is a lot more well respected. Whereas here in the States, it's growing. You have people that are very good, but it's something that, like, this is a newer market and it's a less experienced market. And so, again, they were really nice to say that, obviously keep working on it. Keep entering competitions. Yep. You've got the kind of stuff that's like, keep doing what we're saying and keep doing what you've been doing, because I'm completely self-taught. I've never really taken a class on this or anything like that. It's all just reading and watching videos and stuff. It's like, that's a lot of people. But again, take classes. They have classes at these kinds of events and stuff like that, but keep coming to these things, keep networking, because you'll talk to more people and there are plenty of businesses out there where it's like, they got them in Europe, they got them here in the United States, where they have a network of painters and a network of craftspeople where it's like, they'll just give you an assignment. And it's like, here, finish this up, paint this thing, send it to us, and we'll give you $500.
Okay.
And those kinds of things, again, like, you get your way into that stuff primarily by showing up at these events and stuff. That way they know you're serious, and that way they know that it's like, there are
some credibility thing, right? It's like a credibility thing that you're like, okay, well, this person is down for the work, down for the feedback, down for just any kind of exposure.
Well, and given the nature of certain places, it's like what they want to do is they want to talk directly to an artist that's making it,
right,
versus talking to another broker that has access to that person. And then it's like, well, then there's extra fees and stuff. They know it's better for you and it's better for them to cut out those middlemen.
Yeah.
It makes things easier for them. But there is a market of people out there, much like with cars, where yes, there are plenty of people that, get these cars because it's like, dude, they just want to drive the car. And that's much like with miniature wargaming, where there are people that, look, they just like playing these games, and some people give a shit less whether they're painted or not. But then there's another segment that, like, so it's like Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
right?
And the dad in the car, where it's like, he doesn't drive this thing. he just loves the history, and he loves the nostalgia and the, you know, the good feels of it, and he just wants, like, he wants these things to put in a glass case. They are collectors. But then you got other people that are like, no man, they've got way more money than time, but they want what's on the box. And that's not what's in the box. What's in the box is a bunch of chunks of gray plastic. But they are prepared. They are in finance. They are in, you know, computer development, stuff like that. Yes, they want to play these games. They want to go ahead and walk into their store, walk into so-and-so's basement and put down an army that's really going to wow them. But they do not have the time. They don't have the time to make these things. They don't have the time to learn this shit. They don't have the time to put into getting the resources to actually get these paints together and execute like that. Dude, how much? I'll give you $3,500 if you give me those 2,000 points painted up and ready to go.
Yep. So you pull out your Target app, and you get your personal shopper and artist, and you fucking get them to start picking the things off the shelves and getting them painted up for you. That's what you do. It's all come full circle.
And then when it gets delivered, you get really angry that, God damn it, I ordered red and you painted blue, and that's not the alternative I asked for. No, but it was great. They were really gracious and really kind to me. Everybody was super cool with me taking pictures of stuff. And again, it was like, my God, there were 4,000 people that attended the convention, over 900 players, and they had all kinds of games. They had Warhammer 40K, they had Age of Sigmar, but they had Star Wars games. They had all kinds of new games that were being demoed. It was insane. And it took over the entirety of the Rio Convention Center. Cool. No, it was a blast, and everybody was super nice. And yes, definitely it's the kind of thing that in my head, what was satisfying about it is like, yeah, I mean, it was on my birthday, but it's like, it's going to be on my birthday every year in that city.
That was my next question. Are you going back every year? Is that what you're doing? Or are you going to try to make
I've got a baked in reason. I got a doubled up reason. It's like, because you can always go to Vegas on your birthday, because the deal, that was the thing. You just need to say, and sometimes they may not necessarily have something, but it's just like, oh, hey, but it's my birthday. And if you can prove it, it's like, hey, I got my ID. It's my birthday. Hey, can I have, you know, a little something or whatever? And it's like, sometimes, again, you're like pressing your luck, but like, worst thing they can do is tell you no.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's just like, yeah, maybe I'm not supposed to, but what the hell? Here, take $15.
They've got a little leeway. Like, whoever you're talking to has some sort of leeway to get people to come in. Like, maybe it's it could just be, you could be approaching them on a slow week. You know, it is your birthday, but it's also, they're like, yeah, we got to get our memberships up. We need to, here's some stuff.
And the restaurants. The restaurants hook you up on your birthday. Now, don't get me wrong, you typically have to join some kind of a rewards program. Sure. Like even Denny's. Denny's, it used to be you just go in there, it's like, hey, my birthday stuff. And it's like, yeah, sure. Now you have to like sign up, and you have to have the QR code from the app and stuff, because you can't just give you a free breakfast without getting your precious data. But
it's all about that burner email. That's what I'm going to teach my kids about. It's the burner email, man. You got to have one.
I had everything all set and prepared and ready to go. But no, it was great. I had a blast. I did not gamble all that much.
Yeah.
Gambled a little bit, but not that much.
Sure.
I checked out a burlesque show. That was amazing, man. I'm going to do another one of those, but a different one. I went to the burlesque show at the Flamingo. Way more awesome than I thought it would be. It was not like a huge venue. It was a very discreet place. Like there couldn't have been more than like maybe like 50, 60 people in the audience. And there were like 6 dancers total. And you know how you ever watch like a music video? Like this was big with Britney Spears videos for a while, where it's like, so you got Britney or whoever is dancing up front in these big musical numbers and a whole bunch of dancers. And then in the back, you've got other dancers. Mm-hmm. But in the front row behind them, there's that one person, that one dancer who's just better than everyone else. They're hitting every last beat and they're just snapping perfect. And that's the dance coordinator. And they are there so they can have a really good look at the principal. And if there's a problem, they can say something between takes. But they're also where they are so everybody behind them can see them and follow them, because that's kind of the one who's hitting everything. Mm-hmm. There was the one woman in that show out of the 6 there, you could clearly tell it's like, okay, obviously she's the team captain.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, she had probably the night. And again, I'm a student of human anatomy for a long time because I drew a lot of comic books and stuff like that. She had the nicest legs I've ever seen in my life. And she was a Parisian woman who worked at Crazy Horse in Paris. and she decided, fuck it, I'm going to the United States. And so she came down here. That was awesome. The comedian, like, because it was one of those shows where it's like, so they have a set of a couple dances and a couple little bits that they do early on, and it's very nostalgic. It's very old school kind of stuff, but it's very creative,
like a Vegas variety show, right?
Yeah, well, you got the one woman who's dancing in a champagne glass and pouring champagne all over and shit. And then they had the airline themed one. They had all kinds of weird stuff. And again, it's a topless show, but it's not quite as sleazy as just stripping, because there were a ton of people in there, men and women,
Sure.
old people, younger people. But in between these two sets, they had a comedian come out. Comedian was fun. Comedian was a troublemaker and making fun of people in the crowd. Called me a creep. And I took it, and it was fine. It was a good time.
Little crowd work.
No, it was they did a good job. But no, that was a lot of fun. That was something that, like, again, like I had a good time doing that one, but it was one of those things. Was like, yeah, next time I go, if there's another burlesque show and the price is okay and I can get like a good deal for it or something, shit, yeah, I'll pop in and see that again. That was surprising how awesome that was. Because again, it on the surface, because that was another thing. When I came home, I couldn't help myself. I had to watch Showgirls by Paul Verhoeven. And it was, again, watching that, it was really kind of surprising. It's like, again, I know there are bigger shows where they have like way more dancers and it's way more people out there, and it's like, it's still a titty show.
Yeah.
But no, I again, the one that I was at, I was surprised with what they could do with so little. It was quite cool. That was kind of one of the last things I did before I came home.
That's really cool. It's nice that you went out and had a good time and possibly forged yourself a new tradition, whether it be yearly or every other year, or however you want to do it. But that's really awesome, man. I'm glad you had a good time. I enjoyed my time out in Vegas. I was kind of like bummed at how congested it was compared to like the last times I've been there, but I'm sure I'll go back.
That's the weekend too, man.
Yeah.
Because the weekdays
it is
a little more muted and a little more chill. And also you get better prices. Because the weekend stuff, that's like, that's the thing. You're looking at like room rate calendars and stuff.
Yep.
It's just like, it's like clockwork, man. Friday, it's like, yep, that's when the price triples, because fuck you.
Yeah, because we can fill it. If you can't be here, fine, someone else will be here. Doesn't matter.
But that was something else I was seeing. I saw an article about how it was like, yeah, but like, even as you get up closer to the event, because Super Bowl is tomorrow, and people were saying, it was like, yeah, and some of these weekend room rates dropped like a rock. Like, I'm talking like 45% slash of a price from one day to the next.
Yeah.
Because again, there's just so many rooms.
There's
so many
shit ton
hotels,
of rooms.
so much competition. And it's real. It's real competition that you can benefit from as a consumer. It's not that fake shit where, it's like people are colluding and stuff. No, there's just too many players within the network, like within MGM and stuff like that and all those properties. Oh yeah. But again, get in their players club, play at their casinos, mess around with them. That's the other side of this too. I do want to go back. Another part of me going back was nearby where I'm at here in the middle United States, near the undisclosed location. There is a small casino that is it's an Isle of Capri. It's a part of the Caesars network. So if I go play there, the tier rewards and all that shit accumulates for the stuff in Vegas. And I've heard a lot of people talk about. It's like, oh yeah, they're starting to figure that out. That like there are people that will like to go and gamble at these smaller hotels and build up their points to go spend them in Vegas. And then they don't really gamble that much in Vegas. They just find other shit to spend their money on because it's resort world,
Yeah. I got a friend that goes to Vegas quite a bit. And his thing when he's back east is just going up to North Carolina, going to Harrah's Cherokee Casino, because it's Harrah's.
Yeah.
You get the Harrah's points to spend just as well there as they do in Vegas. So, yeah, you can absolutely do that, which is so insane. It's so cool too. But yeah, dude, that's man, I could talk about Vegas for a while. It's a good time.
We'll have to find a way to align the stars so you and I can go out there and have 48 hours of trouble.
I think one of these years.
One year.
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah, one of these years we'll
going back.
Well, and our birthdays are so close. Like we can make it happen.
Yeah.
We can make it happen.
Yeah, dude, you've got to come to the LVO. You got to come to that mini show.
Yeah,
it's and honestly, it's great. It was like it's like I think $50 for like the multi-day pass.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, you could go on Saturday and just go for the Saturday. Because if you're not going to play and you're not going to be in any of the classes or anything like that, it's like, I just want to go check out the vendors and stuff. That's like $20,
Yep.
and that's fine. And so, but yeah, no, that's going to keep happening. That's growing.
Yeah.
And that's getting bigger and bigger every year. But
that's
but no,
how
I
TwitchCon
definitely
was. TwitchCon was like you could go and see everything in a day. You don't need to go for 3 days. Like all the awesome stuff. Like, and it sounds kind of like it to you too. Like, I'm sure you really enjoyed the convention, but I feel like every time I go to any convention, like I feel like all the other awesome stuff happens outside the convention. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool to go because it's very concentrated on the subject you're going there to see. But then like outside is where like you get the cool food, the cool places, like to travel around and just see shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I'll say the quiet part out loud because this is not just you and me. This is tons of people, and this is the way that city has been for years. It's baked into the culture, into the business model of the city. Mm. Those conventions are all just reasons for people to list this shit as business expenses.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the thing, like the painting convention stuff, like, yeah, I'm gonna go take a painting class and stuff like that. I'm gonna write off this whole fucking
going to metal.
Anybody I meet up there, yeah. I had people that it was just like, hey, I'm going to spend 5 minutes trying to convince you to buy a painted model. And even if you don't do it at the end, well, I spent that time trying to sell you something. And so that makes this whole dinner right off.
Right.
And but no, I had a great time. No, I will, another thing that just like last minute thing that I'll mention too. So I did a buffet. I did the Caesar's buffet. That motherfucker was $97 and it was worth it.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've heard it's a good one.
It's not just like everything else. It's not just one buffet. It'll blow your mind how big it is. It's like 8 buffets all strung together. It starts with East Asian food, and it's just this huge, massive buffet of East Asian food, and then it turns into a Latin America buffet, and it's just a whole bunch of like honestly great street tacos. Great nachos, little things like that. And then after a little while, it turns into Italian food. And then after a little while, it turns into not American food. It just turns into meat. Just this gauntlet of cooked meat, anything that you can possibly imagine. And then they have like another buffet that like, again, it's kind of in the center and it's big enough that it could like be basically just your regular, suburban country buffet, but it's all dessert. And they definitely had the Diamond Plus member section, and then they had the rest of the buffet. But no, I went down there. That was also a wild experience where they they tell you this. I bet they don't do this when you get into like the Diamond section, but when you sit down, it's like, okay, you get 2 drinks and then 90 minutes, then you're gone.
Yeah.
and they're real blunt about it. And they write it and they circle shit down in your receipt and put it right down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure they don't have those time limits there. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm glad you got me out of here because I would have wasted a whole lot of extra time I didn't need to if I'd have been fucking around and stuff. But that was another one of those things that like, and I'll remember it in the future. It's like, always have a bag, always have extra water bottles, and always have some extra like Ziploc bags and stuff for when you go to the buffet so that you can stuff that stuff in there and keep it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing people don't realize, and this will be like kind of the last thing I talk about, but like, you can have everything from like an awesome buffet to some of the best chefs in the world in this one place, from all over the world in this one place. So you want any type of food you could possibly imagine you wanted, it's somewhere on the Strip or in Old Vegas. You'll find it. There's just so many options.
I've heard whispers of Korean barbecue that offer previously unimagined taste sensations, and they're a little off the Strip, but it's a lot of people where it's like, so again, because it's West Coast.
Yeah.
You have a lot of East Asian and Pacific Island folks that like they came to the city and they immigrated, and it's like they were brought here by the Strip kitchens, across the decades. It's like, no, we want your skills. We want you to come here. We're providing you first class facilities. We get access to great ingredients, and they come here, and it's like, well, yeah, that's true. But the problem is, especially on the Strip, everybody's kind of serving the same Americana menu.
Sure.
They don't really
specialty, but like they have the core of what they're doing.
Yeah,
right?
Everybody's doing steak and seafood and burgers and stuff. And the thing is, they discovered it's like, no, you know what? I'm getting off the Strip. I'm gonna buy my own place, almost in the suburbs, but I will have control. And I've heard that it's like you'll go in there and you'll pay $70 for dinner, but they will give you a culinary experience unlike anything you have ever seen. It's like kind of like with a Noco's where it's like, oh no, man, no, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna do the tricks. It's like it's that times 100.
Yep.
They go way more, and they will give you all the food you can stomach, but they want you to have an experience that you'll never forget, in the hopes that, yeah, you know what, you can always just come back here and give us another $60, $70 and we'll do this for you every night.
Oh yeah. Well, there's levels to it all, right? There's levels to it all. Yeah, man. All right, well, we're gonna have to figure that out, because I think a Vegas trip would be a whole hell of a lot of fun. Shit, man, we blew through almost 2 hours. We're like, yeah, we'll do about an hour.
Yeah, but you know what? We did it all. We you know what? This was great.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had a Vegas episode.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe there will be a sequel. Stick around, viewers and listeners.
Same bat time. Maybe there will be. Same bat channel. Cool, man. Well, this has been me. I'm Lopez, and that was Lord Fagan. And thanks for joining us for episode 394. Are you pumping anything right now? Can I plug anything for you, buddy?
No, I'm not plugging anything these days, man. I'll tell you this. I've been enjoying painting.
Good. Grinding the skills out.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, the show was great.
Good.
I had a really good time with doing that, but no, I've been I haven't had anything promotable or anything like that, any big projects or anything, but I've been painting miniatures, and that's been fun. I've been learning a lot about new color and stuff like that. And I guess if anything, I'm looking forward to it soon. I bought Army War Paint. The company Army War Paints released a new line, and I bought the big, huge, hot shit 216 color complete set, because ultimately pre-ordering that up front is the better value, because you'll get like every paint for like $2 or something. But looking forward to that, because I've been hearing a lot of really good stuff online about how it's like, look, on the one hand, it was like, look, they're not the greatest war painter paints ever made. That being said, they are exceptionally awesome paints, and man, that company turned shit around. They deserve to be commended, because it's like 8.5 out of 10.
That's great.
You know, that's good stuff. And so I'm waiting on those, and I'll maybe we'll have some more stuff on your Discord.
Yeah.
You know, in the art section we'll be posting stuff in there. We got all kinds of fun stuff going on in there. But yeah, no, just been working on that kind of stuff.
That's great, dude. That's great. Anytime you got something you want me to push out there, I'll be glad to do it for you when you're ready for it.
For sure, man.
If you want to follow me, I'm at Lopez Radio on social media, and I'm sometimes stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Lopez Radio. I'll have the links in the description of the podcast and the description of the YouTube. They're all down there, so go check them out. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you guys next time. See you, Fagan.
See you guys.